James Harden is blaming the media for not winning his second MVP. As we all know, Giannis Antetokounmpo won his first MVP last year. James Harden basically said that it's the media that pushed the narrative, so it forced him not to win the MVP, and it kind of ticked him off. He's not really going to go into detail. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said, because none of what he said makes any sense to me. It all sounds like sour grapes, and I'm going to elaborate why more, but you have to hear what he has to say. Once the media, they create a narrative about somebody from the beginning of the year, I think they just take that narrative and just run with it the entire year. I don't want to get into details. All I can do is control what I can do, and I went out there and did what I was supposed to do at a high level. There's only a few other seasons that anybody has ever done. I think Harden is out of his element. He's out of his mind for even saying this statement, due to the fact that the media they push for him to get MVPs in the past, and the media essentially, along with mostly his play, got him MVP the year before last. So I don't see the thing with this, which doesn't make any sense. He's on the radio talking as if he's never won an MVP before. I could understand if it was like Blake Griffin or, other guys that are they're close to the MVP race, but they never truly get it. I could understand if those guys are coming out the woodwork and saying, hey, I'm not getting MVP because of the media. The media doesn't like me, or they're pushing a narrative about me that's not true. James Harden, you've won an MVP before. What are you talking about? What exactly are you talking about? The same people that you're criticizing push for you to get an MVP. Earlier this year, back in March, everybody was praising James Harden, how he was MVP, how there was no debate about it. Giannis could take a back seat. I even made a video about this. The MVP race is a tight one. People are already calling that James Harden should be the winner. They're saying there's no debate. There's no competition there, because James Harden has been scoring a whole bunch of points. And now he's mad that he didn't win MVP. And he's saying only few other players ever had seasons like I had. But look, dude, only other person that had a season like Giannis had was Shaq. And that was in 2000 to 2001. Giannis had Shaq-like numbers, and he's a small forward. He was averaging 20 plus, over 25 points, and 13 rebounds a game. There's no way for that to go ignored. You know what I'm saying? That's like what Wilt Chamberlain used to do in his sleep. We understand that your scoring is potent and everything like that, but part of it is you manipulate the rules, and some of your overall efficiency isn't good. A lot of people like to point out, well, James Harden's true percentage and his true shooting and all that doesn't matter. We're just talking about the pure, unadulterated numbers. Giannis had great numbers, and on top of that, his team was more successful. So that goes against you, of course. You can't really get mad about somebody who had Shaq-like numbers. His team was first in the East. They were beating everybody by double digits, and your team was struggling out the gate of the year, and you're talking about, well, only a few other people did what I did before. Nobody's going to really go to bat for you about that. Honestly speaking, Harden needs to stop focusing on about MVPs and things of that nature, because he is on the verge of basically being a has-been. And I know this might sound crazy now, but really listen to this. Listen to this close. He's putting too much emphasis on the regular season, and there's basically no more excuses for him. And I'm gonna tell you why. He had issues with Kevin McHale. They got rid of McHale. He had issues with Dwight Howard. They got rid of Dwight Howard. He had issues with CP3. They got rid of CP3. If he's going to have issues with D'Antoni, they're going to get rid of D'Antoni. If he has an issue with Russell Westbrook, they're going to get rid of Russell Westbrook. He needs to focus on the postseason, forget the MVPs and all that. Because like I said before, he is on a path about to be a has-been. And I mean this in the most respectable way. All these numbers he's putting up, due to the rule changes and the way that he gets to the line and all this other stuff, that's not going to matter anymore because people are going to be like, well, we've seen this already. We've seen this already. He's not... The pressure is mounted on James Harden. He's going to have all the pressure on the world because he is he was in a sweet spot to do some things, and he didn't do them. Even if you think about this, the Rockets, a few years back, when Kevin McHale sat James Harden on the bench, that's when they made a comeback from a 20-point comeback. And they didn't even put James Harden back in the game. They didn't even bother to put him back in the game. So he has to really watch it. At the end of the day, Harden is upset about MVPs like he's upset about getting calls with the refs. And we all know how that played out. He called out the refs about not getting calls and went to the playoffs and didn't get any more calls. So now you're calling out the same people that are voting for you on a regular basis, and you're talking about they pushed the narrative and that's why you didn't get any votes. So next year, please don't expect to get any votes. Don't get, like, you didn't get any calls, you're not gonna get any votes. And honestly speaking, people might be looking at this from the wrong angle. This might be an ingenious idea by James Harden. I'm gonna complain about not getting calls and complain about not getting MVP voting, so everybody could ignore the fact that I lost to the Golden State Warriors minus Kevin Durant Game 5 and Game 6. I lost to the San Antonio Spurs a few years back without Kawhi Leonard. I cannot get to the NBA Finals. This might just be a method for James Harden to say, well, I'm not going to win a chip, so I'm going to try to win everything else. I'm going to try to get my MVPs. I'm going to try to complain about the officiating so people won't call out the fact that I can't get to the finals. And this is the thing that he needs to understand. Your play pushes the narrative. Your team's record pushes the narrative. The media can only take what you do on the court and push it. So if you're pushing MVP, you're not getting MVPs, you're not getting any calls, well, the media sees that. But the media also sees, and this is the sneaky part, Eddie Murphy at the end of Coming to America, the guy was like, taste the soup, taste the soup. And the guy was like, what's wrong with the soup? He said, taste the soup. And he was like, all right, I'll taste the soup. He said, where's the spoon? The guy said, aha. James Harden's trying to pull an aha on the media. Yeah, and the media is like, aha, I got you. You want us to keep putting your MVP race. You want us to keep talking about how good you do in the regular season. You don't want us to talk about the postseason, though. You want to leave the postseason out. And James Harden cannot run from this anymore. He can't run from it anymore. Stop worrying about MVPs. MVP voting, you already got one. Don't worry about getting any more. Worry about getting finals MVPs. Worry about getting to the finals. Because I think his sole focus is so much on the regular season, he's losing sight of the fact that he hasn't got to the finals. He's losing the fact that every crutch and excuse that he could ever use is basically gone. You got Russell Westbrook now. You had CP3. You have basically 2 Hall of Fame point guards. You couldn't win with them. You have a center that borderline Hall of Fame, and Dwight Howard. Couldn't win with that. You had a coach in Kevin McHale that is a good coach, knows the game basketball. Couldn't win with that. The common denominator in all of this is James Harden. He needs to stop crying about winning MVPs, man. Nobody cares about that anymore, especially for a player of your caliber. A player of your caliber, you shouldn't even be saying this. Somebody else should be saying this on your behalf. Let me tell you something. Do you know that Stephen Curry is the only person with multiple championships to average 26 points, 6 assists, I believe 6 rebounds, and has never won a Finals MVP? And you rarely hear him even talk about it. He never mentions that. All he talks about is how he wants to win rings. Harden has to shift his narrative and focus from not winning MVP to winning championships. Because if he does not do so, he is going to be in that bucket full of people that were good, they were all right, but they never won a chip. And him is going to be even worse because people are going to say that he cried his way out of it. He pushed his responsibility from going to win a chip out of it. See what I'm saying? Because most people will say, I care less about winning NBA MVP because I already got one. My next goal is to win a championship. That's all they'll focus on. He is belaboring the fact, which is awful. It's awful optics. Makes him look bad. It's going to hurt his MVP voting in the future. And now, all of emphasis and focus is going to be like, James, what have you done in the postseason lately? All we see is exits. No chips. That's not something he wants to see. Hoops Junction, where Hoops meets Hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.